to it as we are in the Azir that you mentioned earlier, taken off the board, Cubby.
I mean, Azir is something that can play better defense against Viari than most. I really think that Viari could be something that we see out of NIP. If so, I'm curious if they end up denying the Creme Silas that we have yet to see, but that is kind of the arms race when you are facing the Viari that we might end up with. Varus taken off the board. Man, we see all the junglers up on the board. I was about to talk about Nocturne, Pantheon. Nope, it's Awesome Lucian, the most played champion for him this split. We're taking that over Ashe Seraphine. We don't care. We're playing the Lucian. Gonna get up in your face and see what happens.
I mean, Lucian is feeling even better this patch, and you got to imagine that that's how Awesome is feeling as well. Taking the Nocturne here, actually not that bad. I wouldn't mind Ashe Seraphine either. I think realistically you're clumping these together, though. If you're not taking Ashe Seraphine now, you'll take it later. If you're not taking Nocturne now, you'll take it later. But it makes sense since at least you know that something like Ashe isn't going to be picked, and so you just grab the parts that NIP don't have yet.
One of the things that NIP, I think, has used well against the Ashe Seraphine has been the Milio, because this is going to be likely a Lucian Milio. The ult from Milio gets you that free cleanse, can be good defense against Encore, and Lucian can really pressure the Ashe. So I think this is just going to be Lucian Milio coming in. If not, we want to try and find different support pairings. You could just slam Viari right now, get your most played mid-jungle duo, paired up with your most played marksman, and call it a day of comfort going into top esports here for game one.
Yeah, it's funny because, I mean, I really like locking in Viari now. At the same time, Milio, like, leaving that
Need the pairing.
gone would mean that you're likely flexing to something like Nami, because they're definitely banning Milio. And this does put top esports in an awkward position now. We're going into the second phase. They likely have to think about the Ahri and whether they want to ban it or not.
Well, I think you take away Ahri, as it has been, again, it's just straight comfort here for NIP, so at least denying the Ahri can throw a little bit of that comfort off. Curious what ends up happening with the Rise, really big power pick, and something else that can synergize well with what is showing so far, that Empowered Rune Prison. Great setup for something like Lucian Milio, and I know that Rise has been a really positive pairing with Vi going back to Split 1. They had a really good win rate syncing up throughout all regions, so curious if that ends up being the choice for Care. Orianna's still off the board. That's an early ban here for top esports. That was denied, and the Zero was the response. But I do like where your head's at there, Dia, because we're trying to find ways to attack this Ashe Seraphine and get a buddy for Vi, a little bit of a dive buddy on the backline here.
Yeah, I like my head is in this place where I'm just looking at, okay, where have we played Vi? What have we played with it before? And with now Orianna and Ahri removed, honestly, I'm looking far back in the match history, and there's nothing. It's a whole lot of nothing. It's always been at least one of those two, and of course, way more often Vi Ahri than not. So the answer for Care here, bit of a mystery, especially with Rise, that sort of generic power pick removed.
Gnar being banned, potentially setting up for something like a Renekton for Hoya if they want to show some more strength, because going up against Ashe Seraphine, that is a lot of scaling that shows. Is Annie taken? That is another piece that can synergize well with the Vi. I think now your options are something like Syndra, which can be a little bit tough to play into a Nocturne, Seraphine, Annie, Ashe, but does have a good lane matchup against the Annie. And the scatters and the synergy with Vi to have that single target one-shot ability is there. So curious if we end up going for something like Syndra.
I'm covering my screen. Just let me know when he locks something in, because my heart was skipping beats every once in a while. Okay,
well, it's a Scion.
Scion.
So, big tank. Ashe, Annie might have a little bit of difficulty with that. But, of course, Zhuo has the opportunity to try and take a tank killer in the top side. Is Zahen going to be available for him, maybe, if he wants it this game? Might be good in a little bit of a low-range comp. And for Care, the Aurora isn't the best CC combo synergy with Vi, but it does give you a lot of damage and does give you a way to try and get out of Ashe Seraphine with that Between Worlds, if need be, if everything ends up coming down on you.
And getting out my glasses to look at this, I don't think that I've seen an Aurora from him in Split 2, and thinking back on it, Split 1, I'm not seeing it. I got one Aurora in Split 1 for Care. Definitely not his most frequent of picks. Excited to see it grabbed again, especially, as we said, having not seen it in split to the Ambessa top lane. Also a pretty nice pickup for top esports.
Gotta say, with Lucian, Aurora, Emilio, of course, if these public executions do hit, they're big. But that is a slippery backline where you can try and hopefully dodge out on that big ability coming out from Guwon. But I think that the goal for top esports, use the mid-jungle duo to try and get the side laners into the game. As the Ashe Seraphine is going to scale, be that really supportive duo from the bot lane that helps empower your top side. Nocturne has that dive buddy in the Ambessa, and Annie to really drop that big wombo at the top. I'm curious, I really want to see Creme and Fengyue split their engage, because if they layer it too quickly, that Milio ult, if it is able to be effective, could get NIP out of a lot. So I would like to see them try and layer the ultimates where you're splitting up or forcing Milio to burn the ult early, and then you can maybe follow up with a Tibbers or an Encore later on. Because, of course, that Milio clan is going to be very valuable against everything showing for top esports.
Yeah, Rudude can testify. I have been a big Milio fan in these last couple of patches, and this composition certainly does give a lot of opportunity for Milio to get value. On the other side of this, though, we've talked a little bit about what top esports want to get out of this. One of the things that I really wanted to touch on coming into this is where ninjas in Pyjamas are strong. As we get onto the Rift for Game 1, let's think about how their early game is cooking.
I think we're breaking the speakers over there. As speaking of early game cooking, Tien gonna get in, take the Raptors, and use and abuse the Nocturne power early on. As the AoE damage from the Whirly Birds and the Q is big, and I think he's gonna try and get up in the face of Guwon, who might want to try and pull this camp as far away as possible, or else Tien could find the smite, steal, and secure as level 2s here. Guwon might get forced off, and this is a disaster start for NIP.
I'm devastated. Well, that answered one question about NIP's early game, and that was whether they were going to be able to support Guwon early on. Now he's getting run down in his own jungle, and nobody can really do anything about it because JiaQi, Love, and Fengyue, they're running down Assum in the bot lane. Earlier barrier and flash used by NIP, and in terms of things that can go wrong a minute and 30 seconds into the game, we're pretty high up there.
It feels like all the hype from beating BLG just went to the wayside. As this game 1 is already incredibly top esports favored. I think that Care, if you look at the ward in the banana brush in the bottom river, I want to say Care dropped that. His trinket's on cooldown. I think that is what allowed Tien to go start the Raptors. There was a ward on the ramp entering the Raptors, so I think the Guwon was playing with false information. Didn't realize that Tien was able to actually sneak in and start that. And Tien just ends up with the monster start as he crosses over to his bot side, is going to try and contest the bot Crab, where he does have a bot lane that is already winning.
This seems like a pretty easy double scuttle setup for Tien. As teleport into the mid lane from Creme has taken his first back and picked up the Dark Seal for a little bit of extra AP, a little bit of extra snowball threat as well. Looking at the solo lanes right now, honestly, all of them pretty comfortable. Even up here, Zhuo not having too bad of a time against Hoya, who on Sion is going to be an issue for him early.
I wonder how much the big meatball of Sion's going to matter, as we did have Tien take his Raps and Red and Cross, so not going to contest the bot Crab. Assum was coming out of base early, so had full resources over there. Didn't want to risk it for anything else. If Tien gets the respawn Raptors, I think that Guwon is just doomed for a lot of the game. And at the moment, looks like Tien, yeah, I think he's going to circle back and play for it, and Guwon is a little lost in the sauce, as this is the most valuable camp for junglers respawning here that Tien is going to get on Guwon's side of the map as he gets the first 2 Raptor spawns of NIP. So, kind of a disaster start here for Guwon and NIP.
He can get the Krugs too if he wants. I mean, I don't think NIP are walking to that top side jungle. What they are doing is walking it down in the bot lane. Assum's all ready, and Guwon, having been here from before, flashes forward for the first blood. Will get I think answered back as a flash from Fengyue's last auto. Does do it. 1 for 1, but what a way to recover for Guwon, helping his bot lane get a bit ahead, collecting the kill himself.
Yeah, 1 for 1, not as ideal as he wanted. It puts him further behind. I thought the flash from Fengyue was pretty sweet, though. He shorted the flash. It looked short, but it was actually to flash into maximum auto attack range, kept him out of the most danger. So, small but clean from the support of Top Esports, as Fengyue is actually able to even that one up. And TN is wrapping up his first clear, which again is a monster clear. He is about to clear out his wolves, take a second spawn of respawn raptors for himself, as Guwon is going through camps that I don't think he touched the wolves, or his own wolves yet. And the Gromp is respawning, but again, Guwon's map kind of set on fire, as Tien is going to have a massive experience lead early, as Guwon just dinged 4, and Tien just dinged 5, and is coming to take the respawn raptors, and try and be as big as he can to the map yet again.
It's a good time to start talking about experiences. Level 6s are becoming a reality we will soon have to reckon with, not just from the jungle, but from the mid lane as well, where Creme is about to get access to his first couple tibbers of the game. You combine a couple of those around a perfectly timed dragon spawn, and things could go well.
Don't know what happened mid, but mid's already a disaster too, as Karis down about half the CS of Creme, and Creme's up a level. So Creme just, brute force bullying Care out. I don't really know how Guwon's able to start this dragon. Of course, Vi with Denting Blows, you'd love to find some early dragons, but with the strength of Tien early on here, I don't think that's going to be an option for Guwon. And if Tien, if he gets this top crab and steals away another set of enemy raptors, which I think is possible,
he's doing
that's just level 6. That is level 6 for Nocturne, and Guwon's not even level 5. He's going to get 3 raptors.
Get here in time. I mean, Guwon is beelining straight for this. You have to imagine his mid laner knows that they want to contest this raptor spawn.
Oh, he smited it.
The smite denies the big one, which is actually, in terms of level 6, is pretty big.
That was just straight up necessary from him, as Care is going to eat the Tibbers chunk. Tien, we'll see if this crab is 6. I don't think it's going to be quite enough, but Tien, again, still very far ahead in this jungle matchup. And overall, tough start for NIP. I do have to say as well, as Tien, again, doesn't have 6 yet, but has Smite up. Has the Evolve Smite off the pet, by the way. So it is a 1k Smite versus a 600 Smite, and I think Guwon hit tab, saw that, and is just going to give up this camp too. So the onslaught continues for Tien.
I think, having seen the jungle matchup, it's called, right? Like, Guwon has absolutely been destroyed in the first couple of minutes of this game. His fault or not, who knows? But the first Paranoia, that is where we really make our money for Top Esports. And it picks up a kill immediately, dinging 6 and moving into the mid lane.
You know, Dia, coming into this match, we talked so much about how NIP, they've really drafted for movers in mid, and they've played strong mid-jungle duos. I mean, the most played mid-jungle duo of NIP has been Vi Ahri. They don't find the Ahri, they don't really find the best pairing with Vi, as I think props to Top Esports, who denied Ahri in the second round of the draft, and also blinded the Annie, knowing it's one of the better pairings with Vi. And with the start that Tien got, and the start that Creme got in his own lane, these two have been dunking the mid-jungle duo of NIP, and really have their team off to a hot start.
And it's worth remembering what we gave up Ahri for.
Milio, yes.
Yeah, the Milio, you know, yet to have a whole lot of value in this game, as we haven't really seen Assum and Zhuo get brought into anything yet, but it's helping take the first dragon, and if Milio makes the difference in this game, there's going to be a whole lot of happy campers, pun intended.
Well, of course, Paranoia dropped mid. Tien doesn't have that one up for the dragon. Will lead to dragon being given over. Meanwhile, Creme is flashless. Here comes the play.
Ooh, nice CC with the super mega fire kick as well. And Creme will go down, chaining those nicely. NIP, having picked up first dragon, now have grubs available.
This does look that mid-kill, or it does make that mid-kill look a little bit not worth it. When it is answered by a mid-killer in return, when Annie was down flash, and then turns into a dragon, and some grubs, Tien gonna make sure it's hopefully not all 3.
Nice.
Which I think that with him being 7, it's just going to be 2, and they're going to deny the 3rd and make sure that the little grubsters, the Twitch chatters, don't spawn. So
he takes the Raptors.
Dude, Tien just loves chicken nuggets, man.
I'm tilted on behalf of Guwon. This would just be
this guy has 4 different apps registered with McDonald's and is just farming the 10-piece McNugget deal, you know? He's just rotating out accounts on repeat.
I'm just gonna, as this game progresses, keep our eyes on it. Does Guwon get a single Raptor account? Because thinking about mid turrets and the way that those are playing out, the lane's largely been dominated by Creme. I know we just saw the mid lane kill, but that tower looking like it's in more danger than any other. Rift Herald coming up in about 5 minutes. Should be where we see first tower fall at the very latest. And we got Dragon in another 3. So until then, it's time for Guwon to rest, recuperate, and hopefully pick up a Raptor camp.
Ooh, alt casted here by Leon, as does make sure that Sion loses the shield, so that's going to be it with Hoya. I think opportunity to try and get the flash out of Ambessa there on this item break point. There's no Eclipse in yet for Ambessa, which she really needs in this lane to kind of match the trading. But farm's been good, and that should be available in base once Leon gets out of there. That said, Tien going to keep on proving that, you know, if you do go vegan, that means you can have chicken nuggets. And does that mean you're actually living life to the fullest? Tien thinks no, as he takes his own. He paid for those, though. It's not the deal. The deal's on the other side of the map. You got to get in the car and travel for that one.
He keeps getting spotted on these boards. I mean, he is clearing them out, but I will say, NIP know where the paranoia can come from. I think the question is, now, Tien's got his first item. How much is knowing where he's coming from going to help you out?
Well, we'll see. I think that's a decent question, because flashes are available for NIP. It's based on what happened with the Dragon, the mid-kill they got for themselves, and the Grubs going in their favor. They did stabilize this game a bit, because if anyone's missing flash, that's when you know you have the Nocturne Annie coming down on top of you. As the Enchanted Crystal Arrow does connect onto Awesome, but Milio's going to do their best to make sure that Lucian can get back to full health, as Seraphine is doing some work here.
And for the moment, Zhuo's really been quite conservative with his Breath of Life. Guwon,
that's an early
he wants the Raptors. He's paid for them. He will not pay more.
He got some. They split it. It wasn't exactly a friendly split. There was debate on who took the bill and who got which big McNugget, but that's fine.
It's looking more like a McDonald's every day. Just fights to the death over the chicken nuggets, and looking like a little bit more as Tien, with a nice use of the spell shield, does avoid death through the cease and desist, but won't get the red buff for it. Guwon securing that. So despite a difficult early game, NIP are clawing this back for their jungler.
That is an ult down, and I'm curious if Tien can punish, because now he's going to have the paranoia versus none. But with that CS lead, Guwon has at least caught up a little bit in the experience lead. That said, the punishment continues for Kara in the mid lane. Merc Treads do help a little bit against the Annie, but yeah, you can see that's a mobile campfire to try and help out the mid laner of NIP.
I honestly would not be stepping up to Creme right now. With stun ready, the way he's been using the electrocute consistently, he's more than comfortable 1v2ing, and it's a lot of pressure to be putting out 30 seconds before a Dragon. You know that NIP grabbed the first one. Top Esports could very well aim for the second in just that short amount of time. Weon up top lane going to use another ceremonial ult cooldown, but this time Awesome has shown up to punish. Flash forward from the AD carry, and Awesome will be picking up a kill on the top laner of Top Esports. No Dragon for NIP, but yeah, they got the kill.
Proactive lane swap, though. They get a kill onto Ambessa. Zhuo has the TP available to try and get back to the lane, but they kind of recognize that they're losing across the map. Making a proactive swap, yes, it takes you away from the Dragon, but the bot and top lane role quests were already complete. So at least Awesome's going to try and use the 2 grubs and the siege potential of the Lucian Milio uncontested on the top side to get a little something in favor of NIP. So, yeah, they drop the Dragon, but hey, it cuts into the gold deficit a little bit. And Sion's going to be a lot better trying to eat what he can in the 1v2 than Ambessa, who scales harder off resources and gold.
Care gets rotated up there now, too. The match is way on. For the moment, though, with the dragon having fallen, there is some opportunity for NIP to make up some plays as they did up top lane. Not a whole lot else to play for, and with Assum at least getting the kill, he's ahead of JiaQi Love, technically, and only technically.
I mean, up a little bit of gold, and it shows in the inventory with the Zeal being completed as well. So, is down flash, but we'll see if Assum. I mean, the nice part about Lucian Milio and having these empowered Lucian ults with an Enchantress behind you is it can really help ensure that you have mid lane priority. So, Care should spot this. It went over a control ward, but no!
That guy is so dead on my screen. Care, one auto under the tower. Wait a second! He's out of there as a Paranoia comes in and puts him back in the dirt. He thought he was out. I thought he was out. Tian made sure he wasn't.
Gets a bonus ult out of it, so Tian does get the kill, but you can see that control ward in the top banana brush. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow went over that, and a big talking point that I've seen or had with teams is fire these arrows from fog, because if a team spots it, you got 5 people that play at this level locked in at what's going on the Rift, especially in the minimap. You might see that arrow and be like, hey, it's coming here, it's coming in this area, in this vicinity. And Kara, despite having the bunny hop, despite having the between worlds and having some prior info that the arrow could be coming, was not able to react to get out of that one. As Tien does get the Rift Herald, but isn't able to pick up the eye quite yet. TP coming in. Top Esports want to play.
They want to fight. Flash with the encore secures too. And though he will die for it, Fengyue gave his life well, making that not just a Rift Herald, but another kill, going over to Top Esports.
Oh, Fengyue, you can have an encore of that any day. That was disgusting. As the encore into Flash found 2, it was after Zhuo popped his ult too, so they still got the cleanse. As, yeah, okay, let's get another look at this. Here's what the ward I was talking about. Again, this was spotted. The LPL observers know. They're shouting it out. Care does not know. Wasn't able to react. Got stuck going back and forth. Dwayon, good predict there on the bunny hop, by the way. Able to hit the public execution. Doesn't get the kill as Care tries his best to navigate out of that one, but the Nocturne shuts it down. And now the flip. Watch Fengyue with the ult into the Flash to answer. This is disgusting. You can see the cleanse already came out from the Milio. So that encore finds the group. And yeah, I mean, it was a big ult and combo from Hoya, but it was really only there to trade 1 for 1. So I guess Fengyue, you know, the fancy footwork was only for a 1 for 1. But hey, they did get the Rift Herald. And it still is a Top Esports that is up and feels more ahead than what shows on the scoreboard at the moment, Tio.
Fengyue picking up 2 of the kills during the course of this game is going to be pretty darn enabled as well. Grab the Echoes of Helia pretty early on, and that can turn into quite a bit of impact, especially in the next couple of minutes as Dragon is about to spawn, and we haven't determined what our Rift will be. Infernal Drake's going to be spawning for the rest of this game, and something that Top Esports would certainly like to grab.
Some summoner spells were burned in that last setup. I again, want to see them try and split the CC. We talked about them splitting a lot of the hard crowd control they have between the Annie, the Ashe, and the Seraphine. We saw that time, because they did split it, Fengyue's encore hit after the ult from Milio was used. So I think that is what Top Esports wants to continue to try and do in the fights and the setups. I think on the other side, if I were to look anywhere early, as Top Esports, Care is still flashless in that bot lane. You have Creme as the Annie. Wonderful setup for a Nocturne to try and get involved, but at the moment, Tian going to try and help the mid lane fight the Lucian Milio that does have such good ability to delete the wave. He's going to be there, be present, and help make sure his team can get the push.
Sort of a necessary presence for right now, but a play could happen at any moment, especially with Creme showing up.
I didn't like that
flash
from Assum.
On his Annie, but it still is a zone of control. Teleport going to come in here. Hoya wants to fight for the tower, but Top Esports really want that last 100 HP on it. Hoya going to zone everybody away. This mid lane tower technically technically alive, and I really do mean technically, Cubby. It's like the gold lead that Assum had earlier. We're not seeing it manifest in really anything else. But the top lane tower going over to Zhuo, going to be welcome to the top esports side as they trade that for a dragon.
I really like where top esports is at and some of the decisions they're making. I thought that ult from Assum was early. You can soak a lot of that with Seraphine, which top esports did and kind of capped up their health bars again. So I was like, all right, maybe top esports can fight. But Hoya TP's down. What do they trade it for? Yes, they give away a dragon, but they take 2 towers, and Mbessa gets a lot of solo free time in the top side. And that champion, once you get to level 16, you get those bonus stats on your passive for your ultimate, which I may have beef with, but it exists in the game, and it's part of why Mbessa is such a menace later on. So Zhuo kind of caught back up now to Hoya on that top side. And again, once he gets to level 16, I feel like that's a really big breaking point for top esports is the Mbessa. If Mbessa gets backline access, that's when you start shredding people back there.
At this point, just extraordinarily comfortable in the matchup as well. Hoya realistically not going to die, but you raised the question earlier. What is this Scion realistically going to do later in the fight, especially with the amount of backline access that top esports have? I praised Hoya's frontlining earlier, but I'm nervous for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's one where, again, it feels like a lot of the momentum that we saw out of NIP coming out of that BLG win. We like some of the draft angles we had. We weren't as sure about the vibe pairing this time around, and just the start to the game that top esports had was massive, but this could be a good angle. It's Creme. TP coming in, Nocturne all cast.
Got Paranoia on the way, but it connects in the Tri-Brush instead.
As
Creme will fall. We got a public execution directly on top of Assum by Zhuo, and it will take the AD carry's life for the side of NIP. Top esports cleaning up a few more kills. We'll grab Care on top of this. They trade their mid laner for the mid and AD carry of the Ninjas in Pyjamas, and top esports have traded up in a big way. Looking for Zhuo right now. No slow will connect. Will Zhuo be able to catch up to him? He will not.
Good quicks. Good quicks. Zhuo gets out of there. Better quicks, though, from Zhuo. As, oh boy, I mean, that fight was over once the public execution hit onto the Lucian. Awesome. He had the lead. He has the damage for this team. Zhuo hits the perfect target with the public execution. Didn't even really have help for that one, by the way. The Encore missed. I didn't see the Enchanted Crystal Arrow in that fight. And now we might pick up Guwon, who... That's pretty expensive to get a blue buff.
Wait,
we have a TP coming in
play,
from
though.
Both
Top
teams.
esports
Hoya
may have overstayed their welcome. Cares in here to take out Tian, and he will. Now, will Zhuo get lucky with the escape? It looks like no, although he will dodge the knockup. Has backup on the way as JiaQi shows up to the fight once again. Zhuo will go down. It's Fengyue and JiaQi against the world of top esports. Beaten up a little bit more than they can chew. Eyes too big for their stomach. And IP will strike back.
Oh, I guess that blue buff didn't matter. It was the other TP coming in from Care that sets up the play with Hoya. And with ultimates down, a lot of those big tools unavailable for top esports. That's a beautiful fight coming out from NIP. I kind of thought Guwon was messing around trying to get the blue buff. And yeah, he does burn his flash, but you know what? He baits a lot of time in. Hoya, that is a great ult just to get in position to try and make this play. And frankly, I think Zhuo should have probably just hit the B button. He gets stuck in the middle, tries to help. Tien ends up getting burned down, and now the fights continue. Creme, he has flash up. Does Creme go?
In with the Paranoia goes Tien, but does not secure the smite. This Baron for NIP is big, and the Encore connects onto 3, but Fengyue will still fall. It's a difficult to set up contest for top esports, and it's going to cost them big with the mid lane tower still up for now.
I just watched Brother Creme take a walk around the park as public execution misses in the public square. Hoya is a little bit deep, though.
Just a bit. Gonna go down here as from the side, in comes Guwon. Cares done a lot of damage with the Between Worlds. And Zhuo trying to get away from Hoya's ghost underneath the tower. Will survive. The mid lane tower goes to NIP.
And the fight goes to NIP, too. They cleaned him up. Hoya was a bit deep and goes in, but what a weird sequence from top esports. NIP turned that initial winning fight for top into a bot play where top overextended. They found kills. They got the Baron. I just watched Creme do a walk around the park here, around the Baron, as he's still taking a lap around that Baron pit. And then Hoya was trying to attack JiaQi. JiaQi was flashless. A lot of tools to attack a flashless JiaQi. Zhuo tries to find Assum on the follow-up for Hoya, cuts him off with the public execution. Even if it misses, it did force the dash out. But still, this is a numbers fight for NIP, and the Milio is really working overtime to try and make sure that the carries are staying topped off and alive. And NIP turned this sequence Dia into so much. They got a Baron. They got another Dragon now. His soul point is being secured by Assum and NIP. And they have control of this game over top esports for what really felt like an overextension, overstay in the bot lane for top, which started off a good play from them. So the fact that NIP is punishing, this is what they did against BOG in game 1 last night.
Exactly what I was thinking. This has hurt other teams in the past. As you say, BLG falling to this exact same threat from NIP. And Shannon Crystalero goes wide, but the public execution does not. Tibbers right on top of Assum, takes him out, and the Ninjas in Pyjamas lose control of this game as quickly as they got it.
All right, well, I think NIP is still in a better spot than when this all started. But if the public execution from Zhuo connects against the Lucian, which has happened twice now, those have been two pretty winning fights for top esports, as it looks like Hoya might get melted here.
Exactly. That's exactly what's going to happen. It's a slow melt. It's like a... I'm trying to think of the brand of scented candle. I can't. If Hoya was a scented candle, what scent would he be?
I feel like that melt was about as slow as the melt in the original Wizard of Oz, is what I was thinking.
Oh, yeah.
That took a while. As the Enchanter Crystal Arrow might have been dodged, but Assum. He dashes into the public execution. Kind of hard to see that. I will give him a little bit of kudos with the Paranoia being down as well. I don't want to say that's a guess, but man, heat-seeking missile on the ultimate there from Zhuo finds Assum. And Assum taking a few blips in terms of building damage here, because he went for the Serpent's Fang. Going up against the Seraphine Ambessa shields, the Annie shields coming in. So going to hurt the DPS of the Lucian, but going to make sure the shielding not quite as big for top esports.
Yeah, definitely fulfilling a specific role with that pickup and delaying perhaps his hyper carry potential for a little bit more team utility. Assum's life really is just going to be living right on the line of, did Ambessa hit R on you? And credit to him, Zhuo has done that more often than not in these fights. It is a tenuous relationship between the two, but everybody remember that now with Assum's flash up, NIP do have a significantly better chance, even if they now have no Baron. They've still got Soul Point, and in 2 minutes, that's going to matter a whole lot.
I don't think NIP wants to create any more volatility on the map that isn't, guaranteed. Get flashes out, get something. We'll say at the moment when this dragon spawns, I think Zhuo's flash will be up in time, but that might be close. I don't think that either team is going to want to rip Baron or try it with only a 40-second gap between that and the dragon, because Infernal Soul for NIP would be a big boon for them throughout this game. Looking at the inventories real quick. Oh, hold on, Guwon. That's Tibbers. Goodbye.
Does get deleted into the GA. Assum actually front lines on Lucian. Does eat the breath of life to survive, but Guwon will go down, and Zhuo connects with yet another public execution on Assum. He's all over the back line, and Assum is down. He is a heat-seeking missile, I believe is what you used.
Yeah, and I thought the Between Worlds from Care was the heat that was needed to take down top esports. The entry into the fight from Care was massive. It looked like a 4-person Aurora combo, but Seraphine enough juice in the tank to keep everyone alive. And again, Zhuo has to be the MVP of this game with these public executions, because the 3 out of the 4 fights we've seen it cast, it's connected onto the Lucian, and it's been massive for top esports.
And a quick check-in on the summoners as well, because it's going to matter. There's no flash, there's no barrier on Assum anymore.
They're going to do
But
Baron.
Zhuo did not even use his. Still
They're going to do
that
Baron.
available for the next fight, and they're attempting that fight.
They could get Hoya's TP. I mean, NIP is snuffing this out. Guwon?
They just delete Guwon's health bar again. Flash over the wall from Tien. He really wants this, but won't actually be able to collect it. The Baron, however, is a different matter, as Top Esports
can they cut him off?
certainly can take that.
Can NIP cut them off? I think Guwon basing here is almost a little bit questionable. I mean, if you go right to the Dragon, you at least force TPs out from Top Esports, but we're going to get another look at that play. I would have loved to see the setup of the Dragon, quite frankly, given that his soul, but everything comes down onto Guwon while Top Esports on top of the control ward. Then Assum, the dash, the flash. He gets out of there. Again, Kair's damage was massive. He hit so many people with the Between Worlds and the combo. But Zhuo finds Assum over the wall in the back half. Again, we have to get straight back to the Dragon. It's here on even footing. I think that's not great for an IP. Sabers is not available, though. And Guwon's going.
To a smite. Guwon commits into the back line. Encore, however, does hit Zhuo, and Assum has a Zhuo all over him. A flurry of blades as Zhuo flashes forward, securing the kill. And Top Esports will win yet another fight, deny the soul, and take an Infernal Dragon for themselves.
How do you find a Lucian in the back half of every single one of these fights? Zhuo, holy smokes, what a game from him. That's got to be a pog for the top laner, the young top laner of Top Esports, as he was the difference maker, the game changer for Top Esports. That's going to get them this game one.
They know it as well as you do. The timers are long enough. As they walk down with this inhibitor, I am thinking the same thing. Zhuo in this game has made such a massive difference. There's nothing that an IP can do but watch from the gray screen. As awesome for him, at least at the end of the game, not much changes. That guy was not having a good time.
I just cannot believe you drafted, I mean, it's a first pick Lucian. It's Lucian NaiYou. How do we hit this many Ambessa ults in the backline? Zhuo, we're just built different out there, man. Every single fight, when you look at the replays, it's public execution just being sent towards the Lucian. Assum caught one. He couldn't dodge the rest. I think the only one he dodged was still one that almost zoned him away from Hoya, who ended up going down in the fight. And again, as Lucian, I mean, you have flicker blades. You have these dashes. It's your job to be mobile. NaiYou gives you some bonus move speed, too. That didn't matter for Zhuo. He was hunting the Lucian, kept on taking Assum down, and the big damage dealer, the player leading damage per minute in the LPL, was not allowed to play that game, and it was because of Zhuo.
This is exactly like those games of hockey. Like, I don't know enough about hockey to talk about this, but
I haven't watched this playoff hockey,
where you have goons that will just go and find a player who's giving you trouble and physically assault them. That was what was happening here.
That is what we call the enforcer, all right? If you played the old NHL 2K games, you could have an enforcer. You had a red bar where if you hit people with the red bar, you hit them harder. That was the Chris Pronger special, baby. That's what he did. This guy was like 6'10" on skates. Would just go find your best player and just kind of give him a rough time for the whole game. But yeah, oh my goodness. I mean,
found
just
his equivalent in the LPL.
Yeah, no, for real. I mean, what Zhuo was able to do on that Ambessa, usually you think that, you know, the Scion's the bodyguard or the enforcer, but those public executions, you can cheat your way into the back line, and boy, did Zhuo do that with flair in that game to make sure a competitive game one that we have to give kudos to NIP for playing their way back into, does go back in the hands of Top Esports.
And this did actually answer one of the questions that we had as well, which is how much was the Scion going to matter? How much was this Hoya safe top pick really going to impact the game? Not much. There was so much access to everyone on the side of Top Esports, from Nocturne ults to, of course, Annie and the ability to perma-start engages. You have Seraphine, Ashe, and then you've got the Ambessa, who we are pretty sure is the MVP of this game.
It better be.
Scion didn't do much. Scion couldn't do much.
Look, Dia, if Ambessa's not the MVP, we might have to become the enforcers here.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a ridiculous game. Thinking of other highlights for Top Esports, I mean, Tian's early game was fantastic. I don't feel like that got converted on to a huge degree, but around the first couple of objectives, it was certainly felt.
You know what, Dio? We never got a chance to fly something that we might look to fly in game 2. Honorable mention to Creme. I don't think we talked about Creme a ton in that game. Really felt like Creme was doing his job. He had a big lane lead early on against the Aurora. I felt like the setups that he had on the Annie, yeah, he got picked off bot lane once, but his team, it ended up being a winning scenario for his team. And some of the engages he had after the ring around the Rosie, around the Baron Pit, which left me scratching my head a little bit when NIP picked that one up. But that last Dragon engage, some of the follow-ups he had with Tian, it was a good Annie game for Creme, a champion that I saw him have some issues with in the playoffs at times in the LPL last year. So always nice when Creme can pick up the Annie and play well. Because I haven't always seen that, but this has been a really good split for Creme. I think he's been a big part of the success story so far for Top Esports.
He and Fengyue in this game certainly bringing a lot of, as you say, like doing their job into these fights, CCing the right people, doing the right things, being in the right place at the right time, and backing up the win conditions of this game. Something else that was done very well by some of the Ashe Arrows, again, especially in the early game. I think later on, this was part of what ultimately made the Ambessa so successful as well, is there are so many skill shots that Top Esports can throw out that you must dodge, that you can't dodge all of them, and Zhuo's just had to be last.
Good Scion mechanics there from Hoya with the E-Flash. We like that. As I mean, this is really the one moment that Zhuo probably wants back. Outside of this, I mean, this guy played a fantastic Ambessa game. As it was an overstay from Top Esports as a team. I do think that Zhuo needed to cut his losses there and leave TN. This did lead to a really positive set of plays for NIP that did get them back in the game, as they were wearing purple after this one. Again, I think that pressuring JiaQi when he's down flash like this is nice. But from here on out, Dia, every fight, if you're at home, you gotta keep your eyes on Zhuo, because the ability for Ambessa to hunt the Lucian was ridiculous in this one.
Can I just say thank God for Fearless Draft? Not going to be seeing that again. Awesome. Certainly thanking his lucky stars as well into it. It must have been a paranoia thing, right?
I think I don't know if it was paranoia or not. I'm going to assume yes. I think that one's tough to see. This, for me, is the crazy one, because he kind of gets over the wall. And I don't know if this was a guess or not. I do think that he had some help. But I thought this fight could have went the way of NIP just because of what Care did. And yeah, I don't know how much vision he had over that, but he found Assum in the backline and just deletes the Lucian there. And then the Dragon fight, again, I mean, he had me kind of freaking out when he found him in the Dragon Pit, because these are game-winning plays. Every fight that we saw where the public execution connected with the Lucian was a winner, and we saw that 4 times in the game, as this is the final one. And again, keep your eyes on Zhuo. Finds Assum in the backline. And at this point, I mean, Milio's got more levels. The Lucian's kind of fed. All the tools are burnt here, but it still isn't enough. Zhuo picks him up. Creme has a great re-engage here to make sure that any chance of a fight win for NIP goes down. Top Esports cleans up. Bails on the Dragon. Takes the Nexus. Was a competitive game. I mean, frankly, we kind of looked at the early game, Dia, as it being extraordinarily Top Esports sided. I think the fact that NIP played their way back into that one, they do deserve kudos for that. But once they got the flashes back up for Ashe Seraphine, and with Zhuo's ability to hunt, I do think that it's really tough to outscale these Ashe Seraphine games, because they just empower your top side so much, especially later on when the surround sound gets big, Ashe gets more slows, or this bigger slows on top of everything. That is a world where Nocturne and Ambessa are going to thrive. And with Creme pulling the trigger well on that game, was a very good setup for Top Esports, as they had a blip. Some good plays from NIP made it close, but Top Esports close out and get the win off the back of a pog from Zhuo.
Nice. Nice timing on that. We knew what was going on here. No beating around the bush. We don't have to be enforcers, Gia.
I don't know if people at home can tell. I am going to speak for myself. I'm not going to speak for you. I'm not exactly built for a fight.
I was thinking exactly the same thing about me.
I like to fight with words more than might. If not, I signed up for a pretty losing battle. As 165 is a little bit too big. I got to slim down from that even a little bit. So, you know. Oof.
Listen, but we know our job, right? Even if not built for it, One must defend Zhuo had he not gotten that. Unfortunately, the LPL broadcast agrees. They end up giving this over to Zhuo for an MVP in Game 1, and a very deserved one. As we mentioned, however, Fearless Draft is going to throw a little bit of a wrench in things, as he's not going to have access to the Mbessa for Game 2, and NIP did have a comeback in the middle of that game. As you said, very, very close. So this series shaping up to be a close one as well, as we will have Game 2 for you right after a quick break.